I'm Rich. I'm from streetdancemixes.com, and the reason I'm here today is I'm going to tell you how to give the dance teachers what it is they're looking for and how to make a shitload of money doing something that you're already good at. I mean, I don't know about you, but it's the sort of thing I would do for free. Do you know what I mean? In fact, I did do. I will get to it about us later. Also, something that's worth mentioning is that the whole game, the people who have been doing the music in that game are often dance teachers, choreographers who have become garage band experts. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of how good they are. So what you guys have got the ability to do is just come in and just totally crush the whole damn thing. Would you guys use Ableton? What's your DAW of choice?
Logic.
Logic, okay. And you can beat map in that, or warp, or whatever it is you call it. Okay, so I don't use Logic. I've been using Acid for years, which you probably haven't even ever heard of. But it was an old Sony program. That's kind of what I use. So, but basically, before I talk, we've got there's an advert. Oh, that's all the things I should have said just now in that ramble. Okay, so yeah, what do they want? How to put it together, how to process it. That's what we're talking about: multi-band compression, limiting, stuff that they've not heard before. Upload it and sell it. So if any of you are interested in the business side of things, there's sort of tagging and the ability to share your tracks, that sort of thing as well. So hopefully, instead of me rambling, this might explain it a little bit better. So before you run that, Matthew, sorry, it's kind of a good example of the sort of thing I do. So I'm trying to convey a feeling with the songs I've chosen in the mix here to go with the advert, if you see what I'm saying. So it's about, a lot of it's about song selection. So probably not perfectly, but have a listen and see what you think. Okay, so essentially, about us is kind of about me, kind of why I'm here. It won't take very long. So I started off at Middlesex University, which I think you guys are affiliated to. I was doing, I can't even remember what the course was called. I think it was Communication Studies or something like that. And I basically spent the whole of my time there in my flat with a Yamaha Porter sound, which had real FM synthesis on it. You could get some pretty crazy sounds out of it. Just making really bad techno. My mate would come back and be like, you haven't been to lectures again today. So anyway, I got kicked out of there. Went and did training at the Islington Music Workshop, which I think is still going and was a godsend at the time if you was on benefit or whatever. It was like £460 a term, really heavily subsidised, but you couldn't do more than 16 hours. So went from Oxford to London 3 days a week doing that, past that. Basically, since then I've been filming weddings. I mean, I've always been making music, but I'll probably admit to myself by now that I'm not going to be the next Kanye West or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? But I've always been in and around tech, media, entertainment. So I'm also the tech director of a dance school. We do a show at New Theatre every year, and I provide most of the running order for that. I started out doing street dance mixing because my kids got into dance, so I started doing free stuff for them. I started to realise that a lot of the people who were into it weren't that good at it, do you know what I mean? So I started making better stuff. Then I thought, oh, I'll advertise myself, put my name around, and a pretty big crew at the time, I think they might have been on an early Got Talent or something, they were called DNA. They were at the Hip Hop World Finals in Vegas, and they asked me to do their music and said they'd give me 70 quid. I was like, great, excellent. So I spent like 9 days earning that 70 quid, getting it all really good and really right, that sort of thing. And I was like, yeah, I could get paid for this. So I made a website, put it out there, which did draw in a little bit of interest from the UK. Then had an approach from someone I didn't know, they were American at the time, but saying, could you do a mix for me? Got back to them. They didn't get back to me for about 6 months, and then she got back and said, really need you to do mixes, we're struggling, we're snowed under. She was basically someone who goes around and does what they call, where they do hip hop, pom and cheerleading. Anyway, they pay me really well, and that was the thing that really, I want to import that back to the UK. So over there, you're well respected, you get paid well. I mean, they charge out for what I do, something like $475 or something like that for 2 minutes of music is what they're charging. I'm actually getting paid about 225, 250 quid of that, depending on the exchange rate. And the sort of mixes you can do in half a day if you get your head down, that sort of thing. So the money's quite good there, but you have to be working all the time. It's tricky, and you couldn't do it in the UK at the time because of the licensing. It was just too difficult. I thought, look, why can't we have that respect for the people over here? So I've grown up with my daughter's crew. They've got better and better, and I think that the choreographer for that crew is kind of, I think she'd readily admit that the fact that I've been bringing them hot stuff to work with has got them a little bit further down the road than they might have been. So basically I'll just show you the sort of thing that I'm working with right now.
The mix in the background is the sort of thing we'd be expecting our DJs to be able to create and then upload and sell.
You'll see as it goes through that how we've brought value and took things out, added things in to accentuate what they're doing dance-wise. Although it does work the other way around. Okay, so that's kind of the sort of thing that I do now, and you can sort of see how that when you're throwing cool turnarounds, phrases, samples and stuff like that, that the choreographer's just going, awesome, like, do you know what I mean? And it's making them work better, and then when they're working better and when they're really enthused about it, all of their students, they're going like, oh, the music's awesome, do you know what I mean? So these girls say to me individually that, you know, it gives them confidence to go out there knowing that at least the track's rocking, whatever they're doing, do you know what I mean? That people are going to have a good time. So all too often you kind of, I go to these events a lot, and people have spent, you know, 80 quid on the sneaks, they're staying over in the chalet for the weekend, they booked a bus, they all come down, and then the CD they burnt or whatever is just corrupt, and they're all crying, and then you kind of have to work out how long do I leave it before I go up to them and say, do you need a DJ, do you know what I mean? But it's tough on them, and I hate to see that happen to the kids, it really is horrible, and it's all about confidence for them. That's what you're trying to give them, is that confidence to go out and just smash it, do you know what I mean? No matter how good they are either, do you know what I mean? Even if they ain't that brilliant, you give them something simpler to work with so they can go out and feel really good. Everyone's entertained almost by the music, even if the crew aren't top drawer. Does that make sense? Okay, so moving on. Okay, business licensing learning. Okay, so I don't profess to be much of a business or licensing expert. All I did was start, ask lots of questions, that sort of thing. But I've got a couple of things that I can share with you if you're interested in that route, that sort of, you know, getting involved in that. And the thing with the PRS is, I was really scared of them because it's like, you know, we can shut stuff down and this, that and the other. But the big takeaway for me about the PRS was that they are there, we talked about Cobalt earlier, but anyway, they are there to license what they can. They're not there to censor anything. Do you see what I'm saying? So they're not there to stop anyone listening to any music that they've made, bought, heard, downloaded illegally. They're not really there for that, but they're there to say, you know, something's happening here, the artists are part of this entertainment and therefore deserve to get paid, which I actually fully agree with. So this sort of thing here, whoever's been putting the tunes together that I stitched together, yeah, I think they deserve their kickback because that's part of why it was so entertaining when we watched it. Okay.
It's very expensive to try and do it on your own, which is what we found. So we thought, we'll create a business and have multiple DJs, and then it's the business that pays the licensing, and because you all come under that, that's how it
they got you every way, basically. They got you every way. So if you wanted to try and do it another way, they've got a minimum amount per track in each thing, so you're always going to pay for that, or, you know, there's a big advance which you get back if you sell enough stuff. There's a barrier to entry for sure, but it's not absolutely massive, and like Matthew says, that's why we're here, that's why we need people like you, because it's going to be a pretty expensive venture for me to try and service the whole market on my own, do you know what I mean? And it might not make next year's advance worth paying, so that's why we're doing that. Okay, so that's licensing. Anything else? I think
I mean pretty much that. It's
but licensing, just ask. That's basically another great. Just ask them. Do you know what I mean? They're there for free. We had lawyers. We thought, let's go to the lawyers first because they'll be slippery as, you know. And if we say, oh, we're going to do this, is it dodgy? They'll just say, yeah, it's dodgy. Do you know what I mean? Don't tell anyone about it or whatever. But they were like, yeah, let's see if we can make it work. But in retrospect, lawyers, my advice as far as they're concerned is buy yourself a chess clock, because you go in, you're all talking about, oh, how's your day been, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, get there, oh, that's cost us 700 quid, like, do you know what I mean? We were just talking about how his day had been and his time out with his grandkids, like, get a chess clock. When they start talking, bang it, and when they stop it, because they're expensive. And the PRS, in retrospect, were quite helpful, and we probably should have gone there. I mean, at the end of the day, ring them up and say, hello, I'm from, you know, hiphopdancemixes.com. What's the deal with this? And they go, oh, you can't do that. And then, you know, my business is safe. So they've got a lot of reps in that at the front end to talk to. So that's that. licensing. Business-wise, I think that the thing, again, it's only my learnings, but something that you might have heard from other business people or something like that, but I'm here again to tell you it's the truth. It's about persistence, really. So I had this idea kind of years and years ago. I started 10 years ago, put the idea into practice maybe like 6 years ago. We're going to show you some really embarrassing early efforts of how the website looks, you know, making it in SketchUp and stuff. It's kind of like having a little club when you was a kid or something, do you know what I mean? But we was always like trying to get there, so this is probably like the probably best one that we did. Then the next thing we did, we went to a guy and we didn't spend a lot of money. He said, look, I'll do you a WordPress site, it's going to be like 500 quid. So what we got back from him was street dance mixes, reality free music for DJs. I mean, it kind of worked, but it was a disaster, and we agreed to just both knock it on the head. So again, when I'm talking about persistence, I'm talking about betting on yourself, yeah? So like lottery tickets, 16 million to 1 or whatever way you're going to win. I'd rather back myself with that sort of money. Me and Matthew scraped together $3,000 to get somebody to build this, which is basically a complete working model of the site. It's exactly how we wanted it to work, minus things like watermarking and the ability for DJs to do stuff. But we could run it, and that meant that we could go out and look for investment. And then when we did find an investor, we're going like, we knew it back to front because we've been doing it for 3 years. We've been doing it for 3 years, and then said like, look, here's a beta site, check it out, download some stuff. There was already content on there, and he was pretty impressed with that and came up with nearly enough money for us to do this properly. That's kind of basically where we left it. So, but yeah, this is where we're at today. So now it's a cool interface. It's pretty easy to use. It's pretty easy to do your reporting, that sort of thing, as long as you take notes when you're making your mixes. You can sell pretty much anything on here, and it's about, I mean, you could buy a tune from iTunes for 79p and sell it on here for a fiver. If someone's stupid enough to buy it, I mean, it's viable. We're going to pay the licensing again. Most artists would prefer you bought something out of here because they're going to get their 16% of £5 as opposed to whatever you get on iTunes, 17% of 79p or something, do you know what I mean? So it kind of works out well for the artist. So you can upload anything. We're going for mixes. Mixes is where that's the prestige. That's what we want, that's what's awesome, that's what makes me excited to do what I do. But I'm not going to lie to you, this is where I'm going to do my bad maths. But so we looked online, how many dance shows in the UK were visible online, about 9,000 visible online. Extrapolating from the amount of people I work with and the amount I could find on there, my conservative estimate is there's 30,000 shows up and down the UK every year. And they'll be like in, you know, at the end of school club, but sometimes it'll be a crew that puts something bigger, or do you know what I mean? But say about 30,000. Most of them will be about 20 tracks in each one, so people are looking for edited music. Help me out, right? So 20 times 30,000, so it's 600,000. 600,000 pieces of edited music needed every year. And what we were talking about confidence earlier. Most of what I do for these people is they're going like, I really want to do this song with the kids, I want to do Thriller by Michael Jackson with the kids, but it's like 6 minutes long, they're 6 years old, it's just going to drag on forever, I don't want to do that. So what, in response to that, a few dance teachers will do is they'll play the start and then they'll fade it out. And that's a killer for those kids, because they'll have this end pose, like, do you know what I mean, and they'll strike it like that, do you know what I mean, and then the music goes like that, and then all the people in the audience kind of look at each other and go, I think it's time to clap, isn't it? Yeah. And then it sort of comes in real slow, and it's like, oh, do you know what I mean? So basically everything I do, you put a bang on the end, or, you know, in the case of the tutorial I'm going to show you later, which is where I do Birthday by Katy Perry, she says happy birthday at the end. But the bottom line is, as long as everyone knows when that thing's finished, then as soon as it finishes, it doesn't matter if it's great or bad, everyone just needs that signifier to go, brilliant, do you know what I mean? Like that, and the kids are like, oh yeah, they loved it, do you know what I mean? That went really, really well. Anyway, 600, did we say 600,000?
Quite a lot.
600,000 of them. So, so I got asked for Animals by Martin Garrix from about the 30 people that use me about 6 times. So that's like 1/5 of the dance shows that I'm servicing wanted a shorter version of Animals by Martin Garrix. So if you say like 5% of that 600,000, 30,000, if you were the only person who put it on there, if you've already achieved top status in the charts and you're the first person they see put this 2-minute version of that out. So I'm saying that this is UK, and this is every year as well. This is the numbers we're talking about. So 30,000 copies of that, you're making about £2.40 out of a fiver. Talk about that later. As best we can do at the moment. I'm striving for 50%, but you know, it's getting there. So £2.40 times 30,000, I don't know. It's a lot of money, like, do you know what I mean? There's a lot of money in it, do you know what I mean? And look, there's going to be someone else who's done a version of Animals by Martin Garrix as well. But like I'm saying to you guys, I'm here first. This is my first port of call. This is the first time I've done this. Get on the top of the chart. Be the one who's done. I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't know what's popping for street dancers, just go online. Like, what's the 10 best tunes for locking to? Oh, it's this, it's that, and the other. Download them off iTunes, 79p a pop, 2.5 minutes, bosh, get them out there. Do you know what I mean? You know it's going to sell. You know it's going to be popular with that. So we're currently licensed for the UK and the EU. So another licensing learning there, or something about lawyers again. I know I've got a bit of a downer on the lawyers, but the lawyers, so like we rang them up and said, like, we've got to do negotiations with CCAM and all these other places, Belgium, all these other territories in Europe. But we did realise that we've been reading through it, that if you supply them with physical product, the PRS will collect for you. So we was like, well, I certainly remember buying from Amazon a CD and then giving me an online backup. So that's how we're getting around that. So that was my idea. I rang up the lawyer and said, you know, what do you think about that? He's like, yeah, that'll work. That's another 120 quid down the Swanee. Do you know what I mean? So really, like what I'm saying about back yourself, believe in yourself. You know whatever you're doing better than anyone else. So, do you know what I mean? Back yourself. Get stuck into it.
The point on the fact that we've gone for Europe as well is because
as single DJs, it's hard to get the reach and get further out, but what we're going to be able to do is you're advertising for you, so you sign up as a DJ, you're providing content, and then we're going to be splitting that out and sending it out across Europe. So it can be dance schools and troupes and people, teachers, dance teachers will spend a lot of painstaking hours doing a very bad job of an edit, just to have it ready for their class in the morning, and for a fiver they can just go on there, they can have a glass of wine, they can download it, and then they can just play in their dance school. And that's where we're hoping to appeal to, that eliminating that pain from them.
Okay, cool. So let's move on to the next slide. So that's backwards.
Yeah, sorry, I'm on the wrong.
Which is tunes. Okay, so content selection is really important. The little kids we were talking about earlier, they're really going to want to hear like Starships, Nicki Minaj, stuff they know the words to, stuff they've heard on the radio. As the crews get older and more intense and better at what they do, they kind of want some deep in the game stuff that people might not have heard before, or you know, remixes, stuff like that. As far as what to use in a mix, it's pretty much a great idea really is go online, watch stuff like the UDO competitions, HHI competitions, and see what people are actually using. Do you know what I mean? That's the best way to get to the bottom of it. But what they really want, again, is for that confidence thing. So I put a mix out early on SoundCloud, and this teacher's just like, oh, that mix is cool, can I have it, or whatever. I was like, okay, yeah, you can have it. Sent her the mix, and the main thing, the feedback I got from that was that her kids in her class, she was like a secondary school teacher, was run the after school dance club or something, and she got back to me and she was like, my kids just think I'm awesome, do you know what I mean, because I dropped this track for them to dance to instead of
simply
2 minutes of High School Musical. High School Musical, I still get asked to cut stuff from High School Musical. My iTunes library is a complete embarrassment. It's got Legally Blonde the musical on there and stuff like that. You know, if you're doing bespoke work, you don't get to choose what you do. So anyway, but the bottom line is for UK street dance and Europe really, America's a bit different. Street dance encompasses a variety of styles, and they're going to get marked on the inclusion of those styles. So those styles are hip hop, commercial, break dance, locking, popping, crump, what else? Whacking. I don't know if any of those things make any sense to you, but that's kind of one of the reasons we're here at this meeting place of streetdancemixes.com, so you guys can get a bit of an education, because basically when you talk about like whacking, if when someone's thinking of a tune they're whacking to, you guys are thinking like maybe trance. It's basically something that runs at 140 with a strong 4/4 kick, and I can't do it, but it's when they do, you know, and the arms go round and all that sort of thing. Anyway, so there's that. Locking is always sort of funk tracks from the 70s, or there's Crafty Cuts, people like that are doing kind of new school funk. Popping, just something that's nice and angular. Break dance, I guess you know the deal with that, sort of funk and R&B tracks, and you know, sort of the more up-tempo hip-hop. like I say, basically, we're going to do a big glossary sort of, so if you do get stuck, there's going to be a request page that we're going to implement pretty soon as well, so that, because we're not doing the bespoke thing right now, eventually we're going to be picking out people that sell well, that are understanding the market really well, and we're going to have, like in a club, we're going to have resident DJs, and we will take on bespoke work. But like I said earlier on, the investment we got gets us to a certain point, and then it's kind of about playback and all that. But I guarantee you, I'm not very greedy really, I just want to do this, I love this job. So I get probably like 3-4 lone studio fist pumps a week, do you know what I mean? I don't know if that means anything to you, but that like, do you know what I mean? When something's just killing it, do you know what I mean? Which, if you're making your own music, they're a bit further and fewer between, because you've got to put more effort in, do you know what I mean? This time you're just getting drop, oh that's awesome, do you know what I mean? Put that vocal in, oh, like, you know. So it's a good, fun job that I just want to be able to do, but I couldn't do it, couldn't advertise, couldn't tell anyone I do it legally until all of this stuff was in place.
On our site, you can sell single tracks that are edited down, so obviously from 7 minutes down to 2.5 to fit a decent routine. Or you can sell a mix, which is anything from 2 tracks upwards. Obviously, if you only got 1 track, it's not. Or we do allow people to sell and upload their own original beats. The slide before, where you're describing what mixes are.
Are you telling me now?
Yeah.
This is for my benefit?
Yeah. And now, this is about...
Okay, let's talk about this. Have we talked about that? Okay, there are a couple of things to say about this. So when you're deciding to make your mix, I really want you to do mixes more than the single track edits. I know that there's money there, but if you want to build your name as a DJ and be respected and have the most fun doing this work, then this is where it's at. Duration. Doesn't matter if it's for a show. If it's the kind of buy it now thing, you're putting it out at £5, £10, people can buy it again and again, like the Martin Garrix thing. All right, 2 minutes is great, but if you finish at 2:07, that's cool, that's not a problem. But for the exclusive stuff, if you're selling to crews that are going to competitions, most of those competitions have got rules. And most of those competition rules are 1.5 minute max, 2 minute max, 2.5 minute max, 3 minute max, up to possibly 5, 6 at the really big finals events. But like the little kids, like under 16s doing intermediate street or whatever, that's going to be like 1.5 minutes. But we're going to post up some of the rules on the blog anyway, so you can sort of familiarise yourself. And they get marked down for it and stuff as well. So I mean, basically, if the file comes in and it says 2:32, the choreographers are going to be pulling their hair out, going, "Oh, we're going to get disqualified," and this, that, and the other. Doesn't usually happen, but you know what I mean. Anyway, content we've already talked about really. So the more well-known stuff for the little ones, more complicated and underground stuff for the big ones, and then complexity, which is something that Matthew touched on earlier, when they're getting marked for musicality. So that means each beat, is there a hit point physically that goes with that beat? So if you're giving little kids something that's like drum and bass or something, do you know what I mean? They're going to be missing loads of it, do you know what I mean? So if you've got little kids, 4/4, 4 on the floor, about 128, they're going to be able to go boom, 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 jump, and they're going to look great and they're going to get good points. Then if you do that for a good crew like we just saw earlier, they're going to be like, we're not going to get to show off enough here, do you know what I mean? We want something that runs in 16 so we can go, I'm really bad dancer, I'm sorry for the for the demos, but do you know what I'm saying? It's like the more complicated for the better ones, simpler for the little ones, it means that they can get, okay, so this, do we want to run this? Like, how are you feeling? Comfortable in here? Like, do you, like, it's sunny outside, and we can knock this on this is on YouTube.
Play it, yeah?
Play it, okay, let's watch it, that's cool. Here's the deal, we don't want you to go and do a part-time job at Waitrose to see yourself through this college, or whatever it is you do to earn money. It's like, there's good money here, and not only is it good money here, while you're earning your money, you're learning your craft all the time, okay? So that's a real sort of big draw. Okay, we're good. So yeah, I've kind of pre-built something here. I don't want to keep you guys for 2 hours, but I'm totally aware of my own thing as well. Right, okay. So, this is Sony Acid. You guys use Logic. This is kind of old school, it's pretty functional. But anyway, this is a nice grid-based system, it works pretty well. And what I've done here, to speed things up, I've got a couple of different options of tunes that I've put in this, but I've already split this into kind of the shape I want it. It depends how the tempos and that, and the final duration. I don't know what it's going to be yet. Depends how quick everything runs. But what I've got here is kind of an intro section, a hip hop section, something else. I mean, it doesn't really matter what you put in either. But I generally end up with the whacking section, or work towards EDM. Do you know what I mean? So if you want a big ending, it's kind of like, it'd be a shame to go and drop something by, I don't know, drop that trap beat is going to slow it down. But, you know, people do all sorts of different things, and that's part of having the fun with it. Yeah, so, but the bottom line is, like, you know, if you're Logic users and you think you could do this easily in Logic, then that's cool. But if you, this thing costs like $99 now or something. It's pretty dead in the water, so, but, you know, it does work for this. So, big attention grabbing intro is what we're going with. So what I've got here, so I've split it into sections. It's probably going to be about 2.5 minutes long. One thing I haven't done is I haven't started it from the very start of the project, and the reason that I do that is mainly because I do bespoke work, and someone will say, like, we love what you've done at the start, but our dancers need to know when to go. So then you might, does everyone know to make a reverse reverb? So yeah, so hitting the first bit, reverbing it out, reversing that as a way of bringing it back in, so that they've got something that sucks them in, and they know, they get used to it after a while as well. So you don't even need to be a count thing, it's just going to be like, do you know what I mean? And they're off. So that's just, so you often ask for that, often ask for something on the front. Sometimes you work out, you're just going like, oh, do you know what, that tune I've got on the end is just not banging enough, but the one before it's awesome, and then you've got the ability to move that back to the start again. Anyway, so after that, it's about effects and turnarounds, and I guess we might call it a mix-over, or a turnaround, or I don't know what you'd call it, but it's called transitions for the dancers. Okay, so that's when they finish the one style piece they're doing, and then they want to move to a new place, and then what you're going to do there is you're going to give them the opportunity to do that, A. B, keep it in time, because even if you're putting a swoosh sound effect in there, they want to be hitting those beats on point, yeah? So if they hear a bang and then they've got, and then they're going to start their next thing, that, if this is running at 120, run that swoosh at 120, so that they know that it's almost like magic, that they're just going, and they're there. Okay, I think that one of the reasons that we as humans love music so much is because we're one of the only animals that can predict the future, and I think that's why we like rhythm so much. It's like, you know, you listen to a 4/4 beat, you've heard 3 of them, you're pretty certain that the 4th one's coming on the next thing. Like, where a cat, I watch my cats, they couldn't give a shit, do you know what I mean? They don't care, like, you know? But for me, it's like I'm excited, and then someone messes with my expectation of that and takes that kick drum away from me, or does something like that, then I'm excited too, okay? And it's that kind of excitement that we want. What have I got at the front here? Okay, so I thought I'd kind of, okay, I've got a couple of options on the front end, but we'll see what this sounds like. If we put them faders back up a bit. Okay, so that's what I've got for my start. I've got another one down there, but I think we'll stick with this anyway. I'm going to try and compress this time-wise for you guys. The reason that's a good intro is kind of a bit vague at the start. It gets them a chance to coalesce. A beat starts to emerge, and then that stand-up at the end gives them a chance to go, that's the end of that section. What I'm also going to do, and I do for everything, it depends how big or how little you want to go, but if you listen to anything that I've ever done, there will always be at least a gunshot or something that's just marking out where we're transferring over to the next thing, just so to make that turnaround a bit bigger. And we'll talk about that and why processing is important as far as all that sort of thing is concerned later on. Okay, so I've got that, and then so I'm going to drop to a bit of hip hop. I'm probably going to end up having to move stuff around here. Oh cool, I've got a mouse trackball. So underneath that, I had something else, which was this. I work in America a lot, so I try and use a lot of UK hip hop I like to represent out there, and it makes the Americans feel like, wow, that's a hot tune, like we've never heard it. Do you know what I mean? So that, I mean, they're dropping Ludacris all day long. That's all they, you know. Okay, so did you hear that big explosion there in the middle that probably might be a bit too big at the moment, but again, it's just something that really turns things around. So we could either go, I prefer the other intro, so I'm going to lock the front of that off. I've got something up here, we'll just have a quick listen to it and make sure that's not really turning us on more than the other thing.
Boy.
Okay, you might see me bouncing my head around to it, but see that, so as soon as I heard that tune with that whoop, do you know what I mean? I knew that there's something amazing going to happen there, do you know what I mean? So I want that. We heard it earlier, so I think we'll stick with the Get Down track. We've got that big bang in the middle. Also, we'll talk about in a minute, I've got a couple of transitions that are a bit longer than that, so we'll see when we need that. But so we're going to revert to the right speed for this.
I mean, what you guys would be doing is going through, having a think, looking on YouTube, checking out all the dance crews, and then just going on iTunes, wherever your music library is, stocking up, putting up tunes, banging it in, and then making an arrangement. You're making a whole song out of the lyrics.
Okay, so I've got a couple of preloads here. In fact, I might go with the other one. It's a remix of Sexy Bitch by David Guetta. Damn girl! Okay, so I've got my gunshots down here. They're pre-built on the turnarounds. I mean, you don't have to do that. You can put them in as you go. You'll end up moving them around. End up moving them along as stuff moves around. So stuff, you know, is going to be in different places and what have you. Have I just changed this mix? Did we always go? We went with that before. Did we? Okay, cool. Right. We'll get going. Damn girl. Damn Girl's really nice as well. They're definitely going to do something with that, and it's like every time you go to the end of a bit, you're looking for how can I get out of this. That's an amazing tune. It's not really going down the locking route, but it's.
I wouldn't be too afraid of skipping tempos as well, down from something fast to something slow, back up to something fast, and putting your tempo ramps in. The dancers.
It sometimes helps, yeah.
It's not like a DJ set where they're all on set to a rhythm and you're going to upset them by going to something slow and everyone's going to go, play something quicker. Because we're not after long form DJs, we're after this quick turnaround sort of 30 tracks in a 2-minute mix, you know.
Having said that, if anyone's a talented turntablist, I think you could make a lot of money by knocking out 60 minutes. Chopping it into 2-minute chunks and knocking it out at 10 all day long. I mean, if you're good, someone like DJ Yoda or something like that, it's going to take me like a day to do a good mix. It's something that he might be able to drop real fast. You know what I mean? But anyway, but again, like a DJ, got to crossfade this. This is trying to put my money where my mouth is here. I'm presuming that that's a drop and it's going to say something, and so I've just faded in what I'm presuming. What I'm presuming is a snare roll or something like that, so we'll see what happens.
Turn up the volume!
Okay, so it sounds like that ends there. So this sort of place you might need a bit of vocals. I don't know if you noticed that sample I used from Home Alone in the thing that the kids did with you had enough yet, are you thirsty for more, that sort of thing. They kind of like that, but again, it's one of those, maybe it's not quite cool enough for some people, but see how it works out. But what you can always do, if you're feeling like something's banging on, getting a bit boring, something that I've obviously tried to do here is add a bit of something else. This thing by this version of, it's a live version I think of Technologic by Daft Punk, and it's got a kind of cool crowd thing in it, and you know, we all know that when you hear a crowd in the thing you kind of think, oh maybe that's me, do you know what I mean? We're using a lot of those old-fashioned techniques now. I don't know how deep into the psychoacoustics you've got, but the idea that when we was a caveman, that if something was far away it was making a dull sound, as it became closer the sound becomes brighter, so it puts us in a state of alert, a state of danger, and gets our adrenaline going. That's kind of what you're doing with a filter sweep. As you're opening that filter, it's like, shit, there's a cheetah coming up towards me, do you know what I mean? It's about to eat me, do you know what I mean? That's kind of the way that starts. Same for alarms, sirens, gunshots. It's all stuff that makes us go, oh, something's going on, or I'm like, my body's getting it. You can't not do that. Anyway, I don't know if this is going to fit right now, but again, so it's got a bit of cheering in there. Let's see how this. We probably want the technologic bit, don't we? And it seems like it's pretty badly out of time as well, so let's just move that about. Like I say, I would probably spend a fair bit more time tidying up stuff like this if I was getting paid. But at the same time, like, you know, you could knock this out for tenors all day long, really, because as long as the timing's clean, that's kind of like one of the main things you're looking for. Can I count to 8?
You can do a mix, 2-minute mix, 3 tunes, take you 20 minutes, as long as the edits are clean.
Look, the bottom line is, what I do is exclusive, and it means that what I don't ever want to do is sound the same second time around. I don't like doing that, so most of the effects that I use in my mixes are stuff that I've pilfered from other people's tunes. You know what I mean? They've already mastered that stuff, and it's not like an effects sample CD or something like that, which I know a lot of people are doing, but then you end up with the same bangs, the same whooshes, the same crashes all at the same time. They're all out there, and when I listen to tunes, I'll be like, so I always use a tune called Sushi Rhythm by MJ Cole for a snare roll that I like. One of my favourite gunshots is from a tune by Busta Rhymes, and it's just like, so instead of, because I'm allowed to pull in that stuff, because I'm licensed to use tracks, I'd rather use the tracks really, but at the same time, if you was really sensible and you weren't as stupid as me, you'd probably have a whole bunch of transitions in a folder, a whole bunch of uprisers, a whole bunch of downlifters all ready to roll. Do you know what I mean? You could basically set out a map like we set up there and have 20 tunes that you know are really hot, and you just go, I'm going to take that one out, put that one in, take that one out, put that one in. Do you know what I mean? As long as you beat
for
that.
the Ableton users it'd be better for that because it stacks them, doesn't it, in a thing, and you can trigger them off your pads.
Again, so I've got myself into trouble. I've got myself into trouble at the end of this mix. I mean, obviously I just move it generally, but I don't want to do that now. But a great way of getting out of trouble is having transitions that you know are going to work, that you know people are going to like, that basically get you out or into whatever you need as it happens. So I've got one of those here, which I might just need to make a little bit louder to equate for the fact there's not going to be much behind it. Okay, it's not ideal, but something like that will probably work, and then I'll probably, you know, just make sure I want to keep that nice and short and fade it out pretty quick because I don't want it to mess with the start of that vocal. So a lot of the time you're doing a kind of like a self-imposed version of sidechain compression, if you know what that is. So, you know, like, I don't want that tail end of that gun to be messing with the vocal that I've just done, but I do want it to pop, so I've got it on a logarithmic down curve, so it's gone pretty quick. Okay, and then whatever tune. So I think at the end I've got a tune by the Pegboard Nerds. I'm a massive fan. Anyone heard of the Pegboard Nerds? No, they're a monster cat. I'm a really big fan. I'm not really much of a fanboy for anything, but these guys have got me out of trouble mix-wise so many times. Another great thing, another benefit of working in this is like, part of my job is going on Beatport and just going, that's hot, that's hot, that's hot, buy it, buy it, buy it. I kind of tend to fill up my basket with loads and then go, oh, I can't spend 50 quid, I'll have to pare this down a bit, do you know what I mean? End up spending 20 or something like that. But it's all a legitimate investment, same for kit, like, so I used to sell kit to buy kit. You know, I'm still mourning the fact that I don't own my Atari ST anymore. But now I just go like, oh, I want that thing, I'll do a new job, I'll do another job. So the last thing I bought was, again, was to make my life easier, is the VT3 voice transformer or whatever, because you can spend hours and hours and hours trawling through YouTube going, I just want someone that says, I'll never back down, and you go through films and this, that and the other, and do you know what, just get a voice transfer, I will never back down, job, do you know what I mean, you're done, like, do you know what I mean, so for speed wise, people don't necessarily know us from a film, or you know, the whole crate digging thing, do you need to, just make it yourself. Anyway, that's another tip.
We don't care where you get your music from either, because we retrospectively license and because we pay. If you've been a prolific illegal downloader and you've got a whole rack of tunes that you've never legally bought, if you're using them in your mixes and they go up on our site, we watermark them and pay them artists retrospectively anyway, as if they've never been downloaded illegally. Anyway, we're not creating this industry, it's there. All we're doing is making a way for people to earn money out of it.
It's already happening on a disrespectful to us basis in the UK, basically. You've either got someone who's a really good mate, who's into it, who's willing to do it for free and doesn't realise the value of their skill, or you've got, and this is be our biggest market to be fair, you've got a choreographer who's got garage band and they're up till 3 in the morning crying, going, I just can't make it all fit together. And then they're going to go with that, they're going to put it out there anyway and embarrass their kids. But we're saying to them, look, £5, sit down with your mates, glass of wine, you can get your whole show mapped out if you're going to do 20 songs on here. It's cost you 5 times 20 quid, 100 quid. They're just going to have a laugh and then the show's done and then they rehearse tomorrow. They rehearse tomorrow. So dance, we're making dance better for them because the amount of times I get people, oh, can you change this, can you change that, like too late in the day, like, or you know, they haven't even started to think that, or they say, oh, can you edit this for us? We've been practicing for 3 months and we want this bit and this bit together. And I say to them, so you've got a week into your show and you've never heard that music in your kids have never danced to that music in the order you're asking them to dance it into. So no, I've just been rewinding it and this, that and the other. I was like, do you know what I mean? £5, buy it, done, you're up and running. Anyway, so let's get back to this, we're nearly there. So I chose the funk for this section. Okay, I've just dropped a bit of dibby sound in just to give them a bit something else to work with later on to the end of this. Okay, another bang, I've got a 3, 2, 1, go. Anything that helps them out, anything that makes it interesting. Okay, that's cool. And then I finished off with 2 tunes together. Oh, and I mentioned to you earlier about Sushi Rhythm, so I know that that's in there. So let's just quickly play that on its own. It's a really nice one, really cuts through at the top end, so you'll find it. So that's what's going to go underneath, and then I was using bassline kicking by the Pegboard Nerds because I'm really into it. It's a real good 3/8/3 workout. This is going to bring us to the end of this mix. I know that you haven't had a lot of influence in it, but I think you're going to thank me for the fact it didn't take too long. How are we doing?
All right, mate.
Okay, cool. Has that been an hour so far, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So including questions and stuff, we're going to have done this in an hour and a half. I've done that for you. It's a nice sunny day. Okay, so let's just check. I don't know about that one behind it. Maybe there's a kick in there that I need. I don't know, but let's just. Okay, well that's a bit of a mess, but there you go. That's done anyway. So let's say I don't know how long that is. Is that like about? We want. So at this point. Here's the important thing for me, is that normally that's the end of the job, right? That's the end of the job for most people. But as far as making money, how we're going to make our money, we do need to report this all out. So what you want to do at the end of your mix, have a look through your tune list. I don't know if you want to copy this down accurately or just...
No, because I'm only going to show a demo.
Matthew's going to show you how to the upload process in a minute and where you'd be putting that stuff in. But just make a note of like, okay, I've got the funk, that's the Combs remix. Dibby sound, gangster, you know, anything that you're actually using.
Artist and song name, and if you've used a genuine remixer, put there in.
So we have a listen through to see where we're at, a minute and a half, and see what happened there in the end. bit of a mess at the end, but you get the general idea. It doesn't take a long time to do, but then obviously once everything's locked, it's really nice to go and go back, fiddle through it. Like where you've got 3 things going on, decide to delete a little bit of this one, a little bit of that one, and the bit where she says let's go, have that nice in the clear. Do you see what I'm saying? That's the sort of thing I'd go back and do. Swooshes into stuff, big white noise fade outs after stuff, make it all feel like it's all going somewhere. Anyway, on our side, we've gone for the happy medium, 320 kbps MP3. That's what we're asking you guys to upload in if you're doing this. It's a nice balance between quality and size.
256 is the minimum we would say.
Yeah, I don't want to go beneath that, which is iTunes is 256, I think, or their AACs are 256. But yeah, 320 MP3 is cool. So I'm going to render that. So normally I've got my processing in line, but this laptop I couldn't figure out how to get the plugins to work on that. So I'm going to come out of that. I'm just going to quickly. That's another old. Shows how long it has been since I used this laptop. But I just quickly go through to the processing side of it because I just want to quickly show you that as well. Because like I said, that is really what has catapulted, made me able to have a good job out of it. Is that I understand this stuff, and most of the people already in the game really don't. So we're going to open SaneForge, which is where my plugins do run. I'm just going to just quickly run a multi-band and a limiter on this, just from presets, just because I don't want to take ages doing it, but you'll get the general idea. And the reason that I think multi-band compression is so important for something like this is because if you're working quick or you don't want to mess around, and I know this is a horrible thing to say, I know you guys are real like audiophiles and you don't like the idea of doing things badly or the wrong way round, but all those mixovers, the big bangs and all that sort of stuff, if you're limiting them, then everything's loud. That's what the dance teachers want. They want, you know, especially at competitions, if the stuff they're using is louder than everyone else's, they sort of get the feeling that, sorry, auto preview, they get the feeling that, oh, these guys are special because they're putting the music up for them. That's a terrible WAV, okay? I would actually spend the time and make sure that we're all vaguely in the right thing, but if you don't want to bother with any of that, then this is pretty essential. So it's kind of about consistency. It's like we can't have people uploading stuff with 30 dB of headroom or something like that, because that's going to be, people are going to be complaining to us about it. Do you know what I mean? Just see how much reduction we're getting in the various. Okay, that it's not perfect, but I don't know if you noticed it was taking more out of the bottom mids and leaving more of the top end alone, which helps with clarity. Again, so when you're thinking of a mixed theme, like a lot of people think, oh, robots, future space, the most popular ones at the moment. Really, you just want to think of a word like fierce or an idiom like no going back or something like that, and that makes it a little bit cooler. Do you know what I mean? That's just something I should have said ages ago, probably. But yeah, theme in a mix. It's good to cling to something like, do you know what I mean? Like the word.
You can just throw a bunch of random stuff together, but if you've got a theme, again, it's about sales, about picking up people who's going to want to buy it, and kids and things, they like themes, and they're easy. They're easy to mix because you can just go on iTunes and type in the word police and just buy all the tunes that have a relevant connotation, and then, you know.
Well, that's maximised. It sounds pretty bad. I've just gone with a completely random maximise, but you can see what it's done to the WAV. I've completely squashed the crap out of the first and the last things. I played them too loud in the first place. But the bottom line is, you don't really want anything that's, you know, if it's fine if it's hitting, but maximising stuff is just, and it's already been maximised. How are you guys feeling about that? You can be gentle. Do you know what I mean? Set the threshold to. So if you're going like, oh, you know, the quietest thing is like 5.9, set your threshold to 5.9 so that you're not really messing with the original material too much. But quiet bits, dropouts, you definitely don't want that. And because you're putting the gunshots in and stuff like that, it's easy to go, oh, the headroom I need, like, you've got a 12 dB gunshot in there, and then you're going, oh, you know, I need the headroom, everything's come at minus 0.1 or whatever, that'll be fine. Well, it won't really, not if the gunshot's 12 dB louder than everything else. Do you see what I'm saying? So you want to squash that. You should take more care in the first place, but if that's what you've done, you've got to squash that gunshot down. Okay.
It's about mixing whilst you're doing the mix. When we was building the mix, you would go through, do your levels, bring the mixer up, but for speed, we just toshed it together quick.
Okay, well that's the end of building that mix. Did you want to do upload?
Yeah, I suppose the last sort of 10 minutes we'll just show you the website. I mean, I want to just show you what it's about.
I'm not even going to give you that tune. You just have to upload something.
No, I'll
tell my
process.
Is this all making sense? Is this all making like sound financial sense to you guys as well? Because like really, that's kind of what like, I need you. Right? I need quality people to make quality stuff that is going to blow dancers away, so that everyone comes here to buy their stuff. Do you know what I mean? But what we are offering you in return is like the ability to use source material that you just weren't allowed to use before. Do you know what I mean? No one's been allowed to just mess around with. Sorry, mate. You turn it off now, can you? I'm not going to do anything else. I'm going to back the camera. Yeah. So, but yeah. Bottom line is like that, so you can earn good money. I don't want you to go and work at Waitrose or whatever. Like, just not saying give up Waitrose now if that's what you do. I'm not saying give it up now. But what I am saying is stick some stuff up. Do you know what I mean? There's going to be a lot. And I don't know if we really went through this, but as far as the licence is concerned, the reason I know nobody likes a lecture that's an advert, but there ain't anywhere else right now.
But the fact of the matter is, we are the only place at the moment where you can buy legally edited music for dance. If crews have already done their own mix, they can license through the site because they might just not want to use a new DJ, they just want to license their own stuff.
I think the exciting thing that I'd like to add to that, or the thing that's kind of less long, is that anyone with a suit and plenty of dough could do it tomorrow, but like, I'm into music production. I hope that's kind of shown through a little bit. I know I haven't had a long time, but I'm into it. Do you know what I mean? I'm into what I do, and I'm into the dance side of it. I like all hip hop culture, the graffiti, the b-boy, and the whole thing. Like, I mean, I'm into it. So I'm really hoping that people are going to just go, yeah, we'll choose them because they're in the game. Do you know what I mean? So if iTunes do go, like, I will just put a tab on for mixes for dancing to, like, that people go, yeah, but that's iTunes, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? These guys know their shit.
So basically, we've got a regular homepage. We've got things that are coming soon, and they get implemented over the next sort of 6 months. Every other month, we introduce a new part to the website. But currently, at the moment, we're on DJs recruiting, uploading, getting the shop ready, and in a few weeks, we're going to open the doors to the choreographers to sell out. So what we're doing is we're asking people to come in, sign up. And you can either do it through your Facebook or just with a regular email and a name. So if you're going to come in to be a contributor, you'd be a music producer and a DJ, and obviously choreographers can sign up for when they want to go and buy the stuff. First name, last name, email, just has to be a genuine stuff. This information stays in the back end, and you can set your own profile display name, so you don't have to go under your own name if you don't want, or you might want to create yourself a persona. So I'm just going to log in with my own profile for now, just to show you. So it takes you to a dashboard, and obviously I've got a couple of 2-minute edits up there, which I've done. But generally it is, oh, for goodness sake.
You don't go near the edge, mate, stay away from the edge.
Essentially what you would do is, you go to the upload area, and it has to scroll down. It is as simple as, she's got a page going instead. Choosing the track, and obviously that's saved wherever you've saved it. And you go in, check it. We give you a little information bar there just to tell you what the minimum is. We'll take a maximum of about 6.5, 7 minutes. We've got a peak that it won't accept anything bigger than that. So you put your track title in, and that would be whatever you decided to have called it, and obviously a track description, and we give you a bit of information in there as to what does it. We break out what a mix, a beat and a single track edit are, just in case you forget, but you know, it's not rocket science for this sort of stuff. So you would select your mix. This here will update as and when you do it. And obviously we've got the explain contains explicit content. If it has, we just want you to check it, just so that it allows people to filter it out, and they're not previewing your stuff about
No.
I think you'll get some harried dance teachers with this on their phone going like, I need something quick to do now, like, do you know what I mean? So it's really good for them to be able to filter out some of the filth, like, do you know what I mean? They have got 6-year-old ballerinas.
You put a track artwork in, if you've done a single track edit, there's nothing wrong with going to iTunes and just pulling the album cover and putting that on, because it is what it is. You haven't rehashed it. All you've done is chop out bits. You're not adding beats to a single edit. You're just literally cutting time out of it. Once you chose your image, if you don't choose an image, it just stays as the default ones. Here's where you just enter your track and artist information, and again
you add down earlier.
You add more, 3 more. Licensing, we've only got 2 types, public and private. And private just means it doesn't go up on the shop. It's someone who's done their own mix. I don't want anyone to buy it, but I need to legalise it.
That's where the choreographer does their own stuff.
Yeah, so they'll upload it for a nominal fee, I think it's £5, and they get a watermark version back, so when it's played out on the show, they don't get into trouble for having illegal dance mix. And public, which is the ones that you guys, if you was to sign up as DJs, you'd be choosing public because you want it up for sale. And you've got 2 types of license. You've got exclusive and non-exclusive. Again, it says what it does what it says on the tin. Exclusive means there's a stock of one. Once someone's bought it, no one else can have it. It comes off the database. No one else can buy that. That's why there's a premium for those, 50, 100, and 150, depending on the complexity, how much time and how good you've made the mix. But because you can only sell one, you need to make more money out of it. Underneath, you go non-exclusive. I don't care if 10 people buy the same thing. So yeah, so you would choose no single license, and that would give you a stock of, it'll just sell forever, however many times it sells, it sells, it sells.
The content's quite quick to put together. So if you're interested in marketing your own album one day, like working out what tags work, what sort of images work, what sort of names work, like you get to sort of run a little bit of marketing within this website with content that you can turn over like that.
You do.
So like you've got to make a whole album.
So then, once you've done that, you click save, and again, all that will happen is it will take you to this page, and it'll end up in there as the way you've done it. To encourage DJs on, we're running competitions. You can win a pair of AK. We'll pick the best mix. I think the end of June. Whoever's gone in by the end of June, you can win a pair of decent AKG headphones. On the main website, you'll see where it says previews. When it goes out live to choreographers, that will start counting.
It'll be sales.
So while you're looking at your own stuff, it's not going to preview, it's not going to count your own preview in. But as soon as a customer has gone in and had a click, that will grow around to 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll also have extra fields in there, and that will be things like how many times you've sold it, your analytics essentially, what you've sold, when you've sold it, how many you've sold, and how much you've earned out of that. When you want paying, it's as simple as there's an area in your account for your account details. If you want it paid monthly by direct bank transfer, just give us your account number and sort code. Don't ever give us passwords or anything like that. We never ask for that. It's the same as anyone else. When you want paying, we'll either pay you automatically via PayPal every 3 months on your email. Yeah, that will just, whatever's accumulated, you'll get paid. If you want it sooner than that, then you have to put your bank account details in for us to be able to do a bank transfer, and we'll do that monthly.
Does anyone feel like I've missed anything out, or big glaring errors, or no? Okay, cool, right.
I'm sure we'll hone in on it anyway.
Check out my tutorial, check out the blog. There's more information on there. All the stuff I really probably go back and kick myself that I forgot to say here. Most of it's on there. Thanks very much for having us. I really appreciate that. Thanks for listening. You guys, like I said, you made the right decision. There's money here, like, don't work at Waitrose, do this instead. It makes you better musicians, and it's fun.